Insider presents Geek Speak with Matthew Harris and Meredith Lachlan. We cover entertainment, news, and tech with special guest appearances. So sit back and enjoy as we geek out together right now.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Geek Speak with me. I'm Meredith Lachlan with my co-chair, Matthew Harris. Tonight we have a very special guest. He is a former football player turned actor with several credits in television, which includes Bram in Lost, Tony Tucci in Dexter, one of my favorites, Desi Piscatella in Orange is the New Black, and his most recent project as Tom Cullen in the CBS All Access presentation of Stephen King's The Stand. Tonight we have Brad William Henke. Woo!
Right. Nice to be here.
M-O-O-N spells Brad Henke and Tom Cullen. So, and I'm a huge The Stand fan. Brad, that's my favorite Stephen King book. And
that's actually his favorite book too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I was not aware of that. I used to get shit in high school because, the book is this thick, and I would carry it around at least once a year, and people would go, "Oh, damn, what class are you reading that for?" And I'm like, "None, I'm just reading it." "You're reading that just for fun?" And I'm like, "Yeah, and I've read it like 5 times." And so, that's why I am the managing editor of Geeks, Geek Insider, is because I've been a geek for a long time. But welcome to the show, Brad. Before we get into The Stand and why you're the big reason why you're here, why don't you introduce yourself, tell folks about you, where you used to play football, and then we'll get into the whole meat of the stuff.
It's funny you said something like football player turned actor, but I wasn't much of a football player. I played football at the University of Arizona. I actually was defensive captain, so I wasn't terrible. And then I played. I played really 1 year in the NFL, but I played in the Super Bowl for the Broncos that year against the 49ers.
Nice.
We got killed, so I played a lot actually. But I hurt my ankle really bad my junior year of college, and I tore all the ligaments, but I didn't know that, and a tendon. And so I was playing on it for a year or so. So by the time I got to the pros, it was kind of an arthritic ankle already. And so it felt like someone was stabbing me with a knife, like every time it hit the ground. And it still does, as a matter of fact. I've had 2 reconstructions and about 5 scopes, and it still always hurts in the front. But
wow,
so
you did some damage.
I did do some damage. It came out and went back in, and so they thought I was okay, but it did a lot of damage. And that was back in the day before you didn't MRI everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it didn't swell a lot, so they thought I was fine, but it killed me. So then I got cut my second year, and I tried to play longer. I didn't know what else to do with my life, to be honest with you. And I played this thing called the arena ball. I played until they wouldn't let me play anymore. And then I coached at a junior college out in California for my old coach for 1 year. But I didn't really like that either because I was coming straight from the NFL, and I was teaching these kids just to be too aggressive, just too mean. All my guys were all league, but I coached the offensive line, and the defensive line coaches would want to fight me after the games because I was just teaching them to just play like they did, like we did in the NFL, So after that, you didn't make any money doing that in the off season.
Right.
I went, and have you ever seen a commercial where, like Peyton Manning or someone's talking, but they have football players in the background? Well, that's just a bunch of ex-football players, So I did that once, and someone invited me to an acting class. And I went to this acting class, saw this guy up there doing a scene, and he was crying in this scene. I was like, what the hell makes this dude cry? Like, I've cried like maybe once in my life, and they're talking about what makes you feel this and what makes you feel that. I never had heard that before. My dad wasn't asking me, how does that make you feel? He said, go, you know what I mean? Let's go build the deck. He not asked me how I felt about it. You know what I mean? My dad used to do some funny shit too. He used to, I had to mow the yard. Well, we lived in one of these bi-level homes where, you walk in and you either go up or you go down. And so my window was right above the ground. And my dad, Saturday morning, man, he would go take that lawnmower and just start it right outside my window and then leave it there. And so I was,
sounds like your dad and my dad would have got along really, really well.
Yeah, that means get your ass up and mow the yard. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, so I started going to this class. It's, what makes you feel this? What makes you feel that? And like, I had never even heard that stuff before. So I first got into it just kind of trying to figure out myself. Because, when you play football, you tell yourself you're not hurt. You're not tired. You're not intimidated. You're not caught up in what you're feeling. You're just like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. So I think that really helps me in acting. But that's kind of how I got started acting. And then I got a commercial agent. And the first audition I had was for Hungry Hunter Restaurants. And I booked that. And then my first movie audition was for Space Jam. I played the catcher in Space Jam when he's playing baseball. I tell him what pitches.
Oh, hell.
Yeah, so almost everyone's seen that movie. So that was my first audition. So that's how I got started. And I've been doing it ever since.
You're not reprising your role in the sequel to Space Jam?
I wish I was. No, for some reason they didn't call me. But, it's different, though, because he doesn't go play baseball. But I would have loved to have a cameo on that. That would have been awesome.
Now, Meredith, you're going to have to jump in whenever you get a chance, because like I said, I'm a huge fan of The Stand. And my first impression, Brad, of course, after reading the book multiple times and seeing the original miniseries and the actor that they had play Tom Cullen, then he did a decent job. But I never envisioned Tom as a nice big guy. He was just kind of in my head, the string bean. But it's been a while since I've read The Stand. And of course, with this coming out, it makes me want to grab my copy again.
Is he funny though? Because maybe I only envision myself. Do you know what I mean? Doing it. So,
gotcha.
So, but no, because Nick is a string bean type guy. My main man, Nick, but I think Tom is a bigger guy because Tom is, it's like, I feel like maybe Tom doesn't know his own strength and stuff like that,
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And I haven't really gotten a clear picture with you talking. Were you a fan of the book before you got this part, or did this introduce you?
I was a fan of Stephen King, but I did not know this book. And so they called me, Ben, actually the producer, Ben actually called me and I had worked with Ben and Taylor on Justified and Sneaky Pete. So Ben called me and offered me the job and said, if you want to read the book or whatever, just let me know. So I got the book the next day and it was 900 pages long. I'm like, how am I going to tell them? You know what I mean? But then
wait a minute. Are you saying you didn't have to audition?
I did not have to audition. No, I didn't.
Holy cow.
Wow. Look at it. It just takes a sip.
Because I've worked for you know what? Half my jobs I have to audition for. Probably like 70% of them are offers, just because I feel like when they audition you, they probably have someone that they're already offering it to, but they're auditioning people in case they don't take it. So I think that times when, like when you work for people or they see you in things, and so they end up offering you jobs, and that's much, much better.
I was going to say that's, I think that's probably correct with, when I've spoken to a few other people, whether they're directors, the writers, they always have that person in mind that says, I've seen this guy act. I think he'd be perfect for it.
Ben, and Ben, I played a dad in Sneaky Pete. I played, in Justified. I played kind of like a stoner bad guy. But anyway, he had thought of me for this role since he was part of the project. So I was really lucky about that.
Mm-hmm. So I have to ask you, because you've got a pretty impressive resume, just taking a look at your IMDb. Do you like playing the good guys or the bad guys?
It's both. I don't like I've had a streak of bad guys. You know what I mean? I don't know if you saw Split, but then
I love Split, man.
Well, you kind of got that mean look, Like I wouldn't want to meet up with you in the back alley or something.
Guy. That's like saying that about Matthew. He's a nice guy. And look, he looks like he could play a bad guy. But then Orange is New Black, people hated my character on that, but they liked my, but it was well received, but they didn't like the character. So, I mean, I like to play both. I just like to be a little, it's not to like you said, you saw it before, you saw The Stand before. I didn't watch that Stand on purpose just because I didn't want to be influenced by it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And also, too, I feel like we have a lot more technology nowadays to make it look like the end of the world than they had at that time, and this was a really big production. Like they always had 2 or 3 cameras going and a big crane shot going. It just seemed like, well, we're making this big movie here, so it seemed like that. So what were we saying? What was the question though?
I don't even remember.
I like to play bad characters to good characters.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I like them both as long as they're interesting, and so this one I did not want it to be like, one level or some stereotype or anything like that. I wanted, I wanted the character to, feel very real and feel like there was moments where he, because, I don't want to give anything away, but, he's really the heart of the show, and he really is a hero too. And so he's very capable of doing, more than people realize. And so I wanted to have that come through. Also, the way it's played in the show is that he had a head injury when he was little, and so we have this scar on my head on the show. And I knew someone when I was in high school. His name was Ed Reinhardt Jr., and he was a few years older than me, but he went to the University of Colorado to play football, and he had a blood clot break in his brain. And so for the rest of his life, he was challenged like Tom was. And I remember he said to me once, he said, "In here, still me." And he was very frustrated about that. Wow. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you had that happen to you, you wouldn't just be like happy-go-lucky jolly. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you would have some frustration, and you would, and you would have moments where the inside of you does come through like in a clear sentence and stuff like that. So I just tried to make it more real in that way.
You got me excited as hell, Brad, on seeing this. Now, because I screwed up. I don't have my notes in front of me, and my wife broke my pen. And so I don't have my
not the favorite pen.
So I don't have my notes. When does it premiere? How many episodes is it?
There's the 19th on CBS All Access. So that's this Thursday.
5 days away. Yeah, it's 5 days away.
And I don't appear until the 3rd episode, but I've seen the first 2 episodes, and they're really, really, really good.
I tried so hard to get screeners I was like, just give me the first episode. I'll take 2 and I'll watch them both. But and I understand CBS All Access, they're strict on sending that stuff out. We do get a lot of screeners. I am stoked for this. I got CBS All Access when Picard came out, and then I watched it. I let it go. now I got to get it again. Well played, CBS All Access. But and you said a big question that I have. Did you finish the book of The Stand? Did you read the whole thing?
Okay, so here's what I did. They gave me the first four episodes of the scripts. Hold on, let me get my dog. I'm so sorry.
He's got for anybody who's tuning in, he's got a puppy. So
a Doberman puppy too.
We love puppies. I have a couple. Every once in a while, you'll hear like the squeaky.
You can hear him.
I just have to watch her and let her back in because there's a lot of coyotes. There's a lot of coyotes out here.
Oh yeah.
Yep. We got
to be careful with that.
Yeah. So I read the first 4 scripts before. Then I said, "Yeah, I'll take the job." I would have said that anyway because I had researched the character. And then we got the rest of the scripts. So then I read all 9 scripts first because, like when you read a book, when you watch this, you're going to be like, oh, why didn't they have that? Oh, that's missing. Right. That's missing. Right. You know what I mean? So I wanted to read all the scripts. So that would be my base knowledge of the show. And then when I read the book, then I can go, I can add that. Oh, he could wear that. Oh, he could play with those toys. Like those type of things. So then it just became more information to add to the character, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, that sounds kick-ass. And so the question that I have, and I don't want to give any spoilers, and I don't want to reveal too much, but how much does this series stick to the original storyline? Are we going? I don't even want to ask about the ending because I was disappointed in the ending of the original miniseries. And
yeah, I'm not allowed to say the ending, but I can tell you Stephen King wrote that episode.
Oh, so, okay.
Well, see, now that segues into what I wanted to ask you. Have you had a chance to meet with Stephen King and kind of get the insight of like what the characters were like in his head?
What was great is first of all, I got the job like 3 months before it started, which was awesome. So I had a lot of time to work on it. No one, even when I got there, I said, you guys want to hear, what I'm going to sound like? And they said, nah, we'll hear it when we shoot. Like they had complete confidence and they didn't like micromanage or anything, which I think made everyone take more ownership of their characters and be even more immersed in it because they were given so much ownership of their characters.
And how many episodes is this one?
9.
Oh, so this ain't no. How are we an hour apart or hour apiece?
I think they're supposed to be an hour, but some of them are over.
Okay, so we're looking. See, now you're getting my juices flowing here, man, because we're looking at 9 hours at least of this story. Okay, so we're definitely.
Hold on, my dog's crying. I'll be right back.
No problem. So what that means, folks, is that if you're a fan of The Stand, and even if you're like me, you enjoyed the original miniseries, you know that there was a lot lacking in that. Over 9 hours on this, that's more than double of the original, because the original miniseries was 2 2-hour parts. So we're looking at 4 hours. We're at 9 hours here. I am stoked. CBS All Access, here I come.
I was going to say that is it's exciting because I think that amount of time gives the book, some breathing room so that they don't have to cut so much with the scenes and really important pieces. I don't think Stephen King wrote that.
Like an episode per 100 pages, but I know that doesn't work out exactly like that. You know what I mean? And I think that they spent a lot of time with Flag because Flag is such a good character and that world is such a good character. I think it's going to be great.
My wife just messaged over that she didn't mean to break my pen. I didn't know she was listening in when I outed her for breaking my pen. Hi, honey. But with the pandemic that just came along, everybody, and still going on, this has been kind of I was really worried they were going to push this back because people were making parallels on social media when this all first started about Captain Trips and this, and Stephen King even jumped in. No, this is not Captain Trips. I forget his exact tweets. I won't pretend to quote him here, but go ahead.
In the book and the show, 99% of the world dies.
Right.
So that's probably why he was saying this is not that, probably because he didn't want everyone to like jump on that and get alarmed. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think, listen, we shot until March 12th when they said you got to get out of, either stay or get out of Canada. And, but we were done shooting at that time. But it, barely, you know what I mean? And in Canada, they were a little bit ahead of the US. Like we were distancing and wearing masks like the last couple weeks that we were in Canada. So, but what I've noticed since shooting, because I was like, hey, right when I got home, they should edit this right away and start putting it out right now. You know what I mean? But then now I think people, like you said, they're a little bit worn out by it all. But I think that with the hope of the vaccine coming and stuff like that, I feel we're a little bit less connected. And then again, and then also, it's not, the thing that this was written 40 years ago. So it's not politicalized. You know how we're like, if you're in one party, you believe in a mask. If you're not, like all this stuff. Like it's not like that. So what I've learned the most since shooting it is how in both cases, everyone's split into two factions and either you believe this or you believe that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Brad.
So definitely some parallels. So, I was, I'm on social media. It's part of what I do. And, when the news that this was going to be released, so anybody tuning in, December 17th is when this premieres. There was a lot of pushback, like, how could you in the middle of a pandemic, and put this show out? I'm like, guys, do you realize this is The Stand? It's been around for a while.
Yeah, it was written 40 years ago. And actually, like I said, we shot the show before all this happened too. So, but
yeah, have you gotten any pushback?
What's that?
Have you gotten any pushback?
No. I mean, I just love to act. I don't get involved in any other bullshit. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just love to act. I'm just trying to be the best actor I can possibly be. I just love doing the show because, like I told you, they gave us so much ownership. And then, it was just great for me to be in Canada. I had my two little 15-year-old puggles with me. And it was just us in this little tiny apartment in the rain. I just felt super isolated, which my character also felt. And I just felt like, you saw the other one. So that was an opportunity for me to either be terrible or great. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's a really hard character. It's a really hard character. So, people either love me or say I'm shit. And that was, I love that pressure,
Now, piggybacking off of that, with you saying this was a really tough character, what was the hardest part about stepping into Tom?
It's not being a cliche. Do you know what I mean? It's not being like, but what I realized after doing a lot of research is the trip would be to try to act like you're slow.
Right.
But really, people who have had head injuries or who have different challenges, they're trying to be as smart as they can. They're trying to follow along as much as they can. So I had to take the opposite approach to always be trying to figure things out, always trying to be, come through for people. The thing about it is that the group that I become a part of, they trust me with a very important assignment.
Yes, they do.
And I think for Tom, that's the first time people have like really counted on me. and really given me a lot of responsibility and said they think I could do it. So I'm really trying to please them, and I'm really trying to come through for them. And it's a hard situation.
And that's not only an important assignment, it's arguably the most important assignment of the whole damn story arc.
It's the assignment, right?
Right. It is.
Yeah.
And Tom is really the only one that can pull it off. There's no one else on the good side of things. And folks, if you don't know what The Stand is about, okay, it's about the end of the world. There is a pandemic that hits the world. It's called Captain Trips, and I forget all the other names. There's several different ones. But like Brad said, it wipes out 99% of the population. But for some reason, there are some folks that are immune, and it's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just some people survive, and that 1% that ends up surviving, they either choose the Dark Man, the walking dude, or they choose I don't want to give anything away, but they choose Mother Abigail.
The light, yeah.
Yeah, and they have
in our situation right now, whether you're, extreme Republican or extreme Democrat, you think the other person is the dark man and you're the light man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And and so you believe everything that they say is right and what the other people say is wrong. And I'm flabbergasted about the similarities about that.
There really is.
Well, I think it's proof that the story itself is actually timeless, because I mean, you think about any kind of war, any kind of controversy and things like that, and that story kind of rings true, And I think it's kind of interesting too, because I haven't read it in at least 15 years. So it's one of those things where I would probably look at it very differently if I read it today, and I might have to.
Oh, I
don't want to say I would look at it differently since this all happened, but I had to just go back for to shoot one scene in March, and I got to Vancouver Airport and was going through customs, which usually is just like packed. I get there, there's like no one there, like no one's flying there. And I was like, oh shit, I hope I did this justice. You know what I mean? So that's what kind of stuff that was happening towards the end, but none of that was happening at the beginning. But it's just like most of his books are timeless. You know what I mean?
They are.
Because even though we're talking about a pandemic, like I said, we're talking about human nature and who is attracted to who and who believes in who and all these things. And that, I think, is a timeless message.
Now, I have to say this, and if Mr. King ever hears me, I'll never get him on the show, but I think there are two Stephen Kings. There's the pre-accident Stephen King stories, and then there's the post-accident Stephen King stories. I have been a fan since day one. I love the earlier stuff, but once he had an accident, I think he kind of changed a little bit as far as his storytelling went. But what I want to know is, because Tom doesn't have interactions with everybody, of course. There's a big expanse of characters in this storyline.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite, and I don't mean actor, but I mean character to interact with during this?
It's so funny because you kind of look at things from your perspective. So I was like, oh man, I got the best character in this show. But then Nick, who's deaf and blind in one eye, like he has an amazing, and then Mother Abigail. So you keep meeting these people. You're like, oh shit, they got a great character too. Oh shit, they got a great character too. So, I mean, for me, my favorite character to act with was Nick, because most of my scenes are with him. And it's by an actor named Henry Zaga, who is an amazing actor, but also just, I call him a kid. He's, because I'm old, but like, he's just a great kid. He's just a great guy. And he's really into he lost like 20 pounds before it started because Nick was like out, being homeless and stuff.
Right.
He's just so committed. I just loved acting with him, and we got along great. But I was super quiet. Like I met everyone. I liked them all, but I kind of just sat with myself just because I felt it would be weird for me, but also weird for them if I was just talking to them like this, and then we just went and did scenes. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
You feel like, oh, that dude's acting. So I just kind of stayed in my own world. Like I said hello to everyone every day, and then I just they put a chair in the corner for me basically, and I sat over there because they had such a great time. Not Henry, but like the rest of them, like they'd be like singing songs together and like really connecting together, and I would just kind of sit over there and watch them.
Oh, so that kind of segues into a question that I have. When you're researching this role and you're so into it, do you bring that home? Do you stay in character, or are you able to shut that off at the end of the night?
I didn't have to. Wait, hold on one second.
That was so loud it sounded like just something fell. Plop. But what he doesn't realize, remember, Meredith, is you have a camel dog that drinks louder than anybody ever in the world. And then I've got 6 that always pick the worst times to bark. So we totally understand pets.
Oh, yeah.
I had her totally settled down.
Oh, there she is.
Oh, wait.
I was hoping to see her.
Beautiful. And Brad, folks, if y'all are just tuning in or you're not watching on the YouTube channel, he's showing his Doberman puppy. He said he just got her, but I
got her like 2 months ago.
Right.
She should be acting better than this.
We love animals.
I spent my whole day gearing her to be ready for this interview because I know this is her evil time of the day. She has like an evil morning and an evil night time of the day.
Oh my gosh. Now, being a puppy, I'm sure she's eating everything. Do you have any safe furniture?
Oh, yeah. Actually, she hasn't messed up the furniture, thank God.
Oh, good. Good puppy.
But she messes with the puggles too much.
Oh.
Yeah. That's what I just had to stop. She likes to bite one of the puggles' butts all the time.
Oh, yeah. Establishing dominance.
Well, she's not. She's the biggest, but she's not the dominant one.
Well, I cannot believe that we're already 30 minutes into this. We need to take a quick break, Meredith. I've got it pulled up here, and folks, we will be right back. If you're a fan of The Stand or not, this is coming this week on CBS All Access. And if you have never even read a Stephen King book, but you've seen a couple of movies, this is the one that you want to see. And I am so stoked with over 9 hours of.
Like I said, it's his favorite book of his own.
I never heard that. My favorite Stephen King quote, it comes from years and years ago. I don't remember what interview it was, but they went, Mr. King, I understand that you say that you have the heart of a young child. And he goes, I do. It sits in a jar on my desk. And so with that, folks, we'll be right back with more. And y'all just stay tuned.
Check it out. MobileEdge.com has award-winning products with innovative features and contemporary, edgy designs that empower you to look sharp and travel smart with your mobile tech. Your beloved, not to mention expensive gaming gear and mobile tech devices are an extension of you, so give them the protection and style they deserve wherever you go. Find them at MobileEdge.com and protect your tech with Mobile Edge. Bring it on. Hey Geek Insiders, Mobile Edge has a special coupon code for our dedicated listeners. Get 25% off your Mobile Edge gear using coupon code GEEK25. That's GEEK25. Geek out.
And welcome back, everybody. This is Geek Speak, and our special guest is Brad William Henke, who plays Tom Cullen in The Stand. That is going to be premiering on December 17th through CBS All Access. Make sure that you tune in. Matthew.
And I was just going to say real quick, folks, if you have been putting off using our mobile edge coupon code, that is expiring at the end of this month. We're going to get something else going on. We've also got some really big things planned for the first of the year as far as a lot of cool swag. So just make sure, if you haven't already done so, make sure you go to the YouTube channel. Remember, these shows, folks, if you're listening in on the podcast or Indie Vote Radio, that's the rebroadcast. We throw these things out live every week on our Geek Insider YouTube channel. It has the video. Yes, I have a face for radio, but you might want to see our guests.
That's not true. That's not true.
But you may want to see our guests, especially because we do get some pretty good looking guests from time to time. But make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel because that's where you can see this live. You can also follow us on Facebook, yada, yada, yada. But, Brad, again, I've said this before. The Stand is my favorite Stephen King book. I'm stoked to understand that that's Stephen King's favorite Stephen King book because
his son told me that too. His son told me that. His son told me that too because his son, Owen, is a writer on the show.
Oh, now I didn't know that.
And then check this out. It was towards the end or maybe the middle. He's like, someone said, yeah, Stephen really likes what you're doing with Tom. I was like, what? So that was really cool. That's badass. And Owen and Stephen King recently wrote a book together, if I'm not mistaken. He's following in Mama and Daddy's footsteps. Tabitha King is also a published author. But this story, folks, like I said, the book seriously is about this thick, especially if you get the writer's edition or I forget what he called it later. It has extra characters in it. I don't even know, Brad, who plays Trash Can Man. Do you know offhand? I'm not allowed to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, look, man, you're making my nipples hard here, Brad.
Yeah, because actually I got a list of things I wasn't allowed to say, and that was one of them. Okay, that's pretty badass. If you can't even tell us who Trash Can Man is, and I can tell you this: there's a big, awesome casting surprise in the pilot.
Really?
First episode. Yeah.
All right, and okay, this may be another question you can't answer. We all know that Stephen King started the cameos long before Stan Lee did in the Marvel universe. Does Mr. King make an appearance?
I would not be. If I can't say who Trash Can Man is, I couldn't say that.
I had to ask, man. This is Geek Insider.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right, Meredith, I'll let you ask one question here.
I get the one. I actually wanted to ask you about Orange is the New Black because I love that series. And your character was so... I guess in a word, uncomfortable. It was just, like kind of not creepy in the sense, but I mean, like where did you get that character from? What was the influence for that?
I can't
because I mean, he was so intense.
I have to say, it was just written so well. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want to say it was easy, but I just want to say it was just like when you're dealing with that kind of layered writing over 2 seasons, so much, they can just lay things in so much. It just feels like I did my part, but also I feel like the writing was so good and the situation was so good. But I think the main thing I had to do with that character is, if you walk into a room and you can tell someone's in a bad mood just by their energy, I just feel like it's so important. And for this character too, and a different energy to, I just wanted to have that energy of this dude might flip in a second, even though he might never do it. In fact, the very first scene I shot on Orange was a scene in season 4 where I come into their barracks or where they sleep and I say all this stuff to them and I get in someone's face. And, it wasn't a loud, super loud scene or aggressive scene, but I'm just kind of taking control. Well, in the rehearsal, I just fucking yelled and I was cussing a lot and doing all this. You just like, they were just like, what? Who the fuck is this guy? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the director comes over to me. He's like, yeah, you can't do the scene like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do the scene like that. But it's just like if your dad yells at you or whatever, like, you know, he has it in him, right? So you're trying to tiptoe him around him because you know he has that explosion in him. So I wanted to show them that I had that in me before we ever did a scene. So then when I started the scene, they look at me like, oh, is he about to do what he did in the rehearsal? But no, but just put that fear in them. So
that's actually brilliant, because that whole collaborative effort, you need those people to have that kind of reaction.
Yeah.
You know, especially when they say action.
Right. But if they would have just met me and think, oh, or I said hello to him, they go, oh, he's a nice guy, they wouldn't have had that tension. You know what I mean? So
and that was the beauty of it.
Cool. Yeah, they were all, you know, they again, I keep saying that. Maybe I'm just a loner, because on that one, I wanted to feel like, first of all, you show up and they kind of look at you like, you know, we've been doing this for 3 years and we made this a big hit. Like, who are you? What are you going to do? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which I respected. And then after they see me, they're like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So it was fun to be a part of their show. You know what I mean? And try to bring something, you know, different to their show. I loved it. It was my favorite job I've ever done until this day.
You know, and that the way you described it as being explosive, you know, like just on the edge, you're not sure what he's going to do. I think that's the perfect way of describing it. Matthew,
because you never really saw me explode, like you know what
right.
I mean?
You're like, oh, this dude's going to break, and I was waiting for it, you know?
Yeah. Now, you know, the first year when I read the last script where it said, you know, they're all up on the counter, the tables saying they won't get down unless I'm fired. As an actor, I'm like, oh shit, are you serious? I'm going to get fired. But so luckily it didn't happen after the first season.
Now, Brad, I got to back up a little bit on your career, because I am a huge Dexter fan. I have watched the entire series at least a half a dozen times. I popped a virtual boner a few weeks ago when I heard he's coming back for a few episodes. Look, I could see Meredith's face going, oh my God, he just said virtual boner. What part did you play in Dexter, man? I can't place you.
The very first year of the show, my name was Tony Tucci. I was a security guard. They thought I was the killer, but he was chopping up pieces of me. And
the ice rink.
Yes.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I could not place you for the life of me. Now I get it. All right. So you were part of the ice truck killer. You were.
Well, they thought I was the ice truck killer.
Right.
But instead, he was leaving my body parts places, and then they found me, and they took me to a hospital, and then I think it might have been his sister that was asking me questions. So yeah,
yep.
It was a really good part.
And Dexter was just such a fun show. I hated the way it ended, of course, like so many other Dexter fans. And to have the creator and Michael C. Hall come to an agreement that they can bring this character back, I'm so hopeful. I got my wife hooked on it finally.
I told my manager, I said, you know, I was a security guard and I didn't die. Like, maybe I could come back and, you know, help out the police force or something. You know what I mean?
Or be a serial killer. You could be the reason Dexter has to come back. You're pissed off that the ice truck killer messed you up, and so you're taking it out on Miami, and Dexter has to come back to Miami. That's it. That's the next season. I'll
show up and do it. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. I'm gonna tell you something I shouldn't say. All right. It shows you, like, sometimes I don't know. Like, I read that script and I was like, I don't know. Is this going to be a good show? Because I just read the pilot. Do you know what I mean? And it was
Oh, yeah.
about the serial killer, blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't realize. And then when I got there, you know, he's a great actor and the scenes were all great, but I just didn't realize just by reading the pilot what an awesome show it was going to be.
And I don't think anybody really did. I was introduced to Dexter by the Showtime show. And then about 3/4 through the first season, I went and read the first book. Loved it. Really loved it. I actually corresponded with the author there for a little bit. And then I can't remember if I read the second one or the third one, and he just went off on this tangent that was I've done a lot of hallucinogens in my life, but I ain't ever seen nothing that this guy was writing about.
Okay.
And it's
you're not taking the right ones or something.
Right. But later on, the canon got a lot better. And if you skip this one, Darkly Dreaming Dexter, I think is what it is. It's where the dark passenger really becomes an entity, and it's just kind of goes off on this tangent. But I really liked the way that the TV show went. I'm stoked that it's coming back, even if it's just this limited run. I hope they do it justice. But I just had to know what that part was. I'm stoked to know now that I met the man that was the ice truck killer for a couple of episodes there.
Exactly.
Now, going back to The Stand, folks, again, this is premiering on the 17th, so 3 days away. And now, do you know, Brad, is it dropping? Are we getting one a week?
One a week.
Son of a bitch. And
I know, right? That's what I think too.
We got to wait 9 weeks.
No binge. Yeah, no binge watching.
Yeah, because like, I find that I mean, I don't want that to happen with the show, but I find that I either, you know, binge it when they drop them all, or sometimes I'll like watch the pilot and then wait to watch them all, because
exactly
for me it's hard to watch just one a week. But I watched the last season or the season before of The Handmaid's Tale all in like 24 hours, and that put me in a depression. That put me in a bad place mentally, because that was so intense. So I think that maybe that's why we wait in between episodes on The Stand, because The Stand is super intense too.
And it is.
I just finished up watching both seasons of The Boys. Oh my gosh. Yeah, The Boys.
I don't know this.
This is on Amazon Prime, and it's superheroes that
it's like superheroes gone bad. You know?
Okay.
You got to check it out, Brad.
Tonight, I need a show. Like they said, like the post said, I finished Netflix. You know what I mean?
You jump over to Amazon Prime, throw on The Boys, and I guarantee you the first episode, you're going to binge watch the whole 2 seasons.
I don't think I slept in 3 days. So.
Okay.
It's crazy. When you have
a sci-fi or anything, but have you guys ever seen The Night of? The Night of, it was on HBO a couple years ago. It's so great. It's only 6 episodes. I watched them all in one day the other day. It was so good.
Well,
all right, I'm putting that on my watch list.
Yeah, I'm going to have to as well, because just last night I started Mr. Robot, and I'm the world's worst on starting anything that's trending. If it's trending, I don't want any part of it, and I'll wait a few years.
I'm so like that too, man. Like I didn't watch Lost until.
Same here. Like, there was 3 episodes left when I started.
I was actually on Lost. I was on a few episodes of Lost, but I think I watched season 1, 2, and 3 like all during a Christmas break.
Well, that Mr. Robot, I'm hooked. I'm only like 5 or 6 episodes in. And of course, being a geek, the whole hacker aspect and the kind of the
right.
You know, throwing a wrench into the whole works, that's something that's really attractive to me. But I like binge watching stuff, and I think that's one reason why I didn't even get into the Big Bang Theory until it was like 6 seasons in, and then I can binge watch those things. And so
I've never seen the Big Bang Theory.
Oh man, if you got any inkling of geek in you, Brad, you got to check it out. It's on HBO Max. We just watched the pilot 2 nights ago.
Bazinga.
Yeah, Bazinga. And it's just
not like you. And I hear like, hey, everyone's watching this thing. For some reason, I can't start it.
I do the same thing.
I've never met people similar.
Yeah, it has to be like not cool.
Exactly. I didn't watch Friends until 6, 7 seasons in because I'm like, if everybody likes it, it can't be that good.
I hear you, man. I totally hear you.
Now, Brad,
right now, I'm looking for anything to watch.
Well, you'll love The Boys for sure.
I think you'll probably love The Boys. It was shocking when I first saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is on TV. But
Brad, hang on. I'll give him this segue. When an Aquaman type character forces another superhero to give him a BJ in the first episode, and he's the superhero, that sets the pace for the whole series. They're not superheroes. They are. They are. Yeah, they're soups, but they ain't about.
I'm gonna watch this tonight. You have me intrigued. You had me at BJ. Funny. Like I couldn't get into the pilot of Game of Thrones. All right, until it took. I watched. Same with The Wire. Did you guys watch The Wire? Like it took. Yep. It took me so long to get through the pilot of The Wire, and then Game of Thrones. At the end when they were having that Darth Raki wedding, I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" I don't pay attention to this show.
No, I was the exact same way. The Wire. My youngest daughter told me for the longest time, "Dad, you'll love this." I blew it off. It was finally, 5 seasons or whatever it was. The first pilot, I'm like, what? I love cop shows, but this was totally different. And then Game of Thrones, I have to admit, the pilot hooked me. When they chunked the little boy off just because they caught the brother and sister together, I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
And then we've watched it at least a couple of times. But
I saw The Wire, like, there still was blockbusters. I remember like going somewhere, driving all around town. Do you have season 3? Do you have season 3?
Now, Brad, I have to ask.
I called my manager after I watched it. I said, "Hey, you got to get me on The Wire. This show's amazing." He's like, "That show's been over for like 5 years."
Oh no, disappointment.
I
did want to ask you because you said that you had finished up filming The Stand back in March, April, right around there.
March 12th.
So what are you working on now? Can you give us any insight into?
No, I've had a couple things where that we're gonna start in like now, but then they pushed them to March, and so I don't know what the deal is. And I have a couple things that I know that they're considering me for that I really want to do. So I don't know because it's just kind of starting. You know what I mean? Like shows that have already been on or shooting, but there's not a lot of like new things going on yet. So I'm hoping that starts, Now
you said that you're a Stephen King fan. Besides playing Tom Cullen, is there any other character or other Stephen King story that you would like to be involved in?
Not that hasn't been made. I wish I would have been involved in the Shawshank Redemption.
Nice. I could definitely.
Redemption, like when that was over, I'm like, Stephen King wrote this. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and it was that way with the Stand By Me, with the Green Mile. They didn't advertise those as a Stephen King story.
But the Green Mile at least had some element of science
supernatural,
fiction.
right?
Yeah. Where Shawshank Redemption is just a story about people.
And it was a very short story, folks. I forget which collection of short stories it's in, but it's Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. And they turned it into this badass movie. That's one that I don't think they should ever try to remake. I think they got that combination just right at that point. Yeah. Yeah. If you go on IMDb and you look up Stephen King, you're going to see a long list of stories that somebody has the options to, or that is under consideration to be made. And some of them I'm like, cool. The first time around, they took way too many liberties with it, or, it just wasn't quite there. and especially the ones that Mr. King himself is involved in, that's the ones that I really look forward to.
Yeah, I think that now, like I said, a lot of it, I feel like his writing was ahead of the technology.
Yes.
So now I think that like there's so many people read, oh, I could make this into a movie. I could make this into a movie because it has all these supernatural elements and all these, like I think they can make it come alive now. So I think that like, believe it or not, I bet you this is next 10 years or whatever. It's like will be the peak of his, turning his writing into TV shows and stuff.
Well, the reason that I asked about parts that you'd like to play, and I don't know if you've read this one, and I haven't seen your Tom Cullen yet, but with the characters that I have seen you play, and with what I know elements of Tom Cullen come, I could really envision in my mind you being in the Talisman as, what was it, Wolfie or Wolf? And I don't know if you've read the Talisman.
No, but I will start tomorrow.
Brad, next to The Stand, it's one of my top ones.
Really?
Yes, and it hasn't been made into a movie yet. And if they do it right, it will be a series like they did with The Stand, because it deals with the multiverse, with there being another. We're called twinners. We all have a mirror image of us in this other world. And this little boy goes on an adventure to save his mother here, which she's a queen in the other world. And he meets this guy that is a werewolf, basically. And in my opinion, buddy, because it is a combination of Tom Cullen, and because he is kind of simple, but he's also very protective and very loyal. Brad, I really could see you, and it kills me because it's been 20, 30 years since I read the story, but because I can't.
I'll read it this week.
Yeah,
I will, because I'm thirsting for great things to read, and you know what I mean,
and we're getting at the top of the hour, so we want to
give you an opportunity to run away.
Right? Be respectful of your time.
I still got 17% on my computer, so we're good.
That's great. So I wanted to kind of go back to you, where do you see yourself behind the camera at some point, or writing, doing any kind of directing?
It's so funny because I taught acting for almost 10 years in LA, and it got to the point where my class was getting so big that I had to decide, like, do I want to be an actor or do I want to be an acting coach? Because every time I get a job, I'm like, who's teaching the class and this and that. But the reason I started teaching is because I wanted to learn how to work with actors, because I wanted to be a director. But when I was doing Fury, there would be like 6 cameras going, and the director, David Ayer, would like come up to you and like go like, I don't like his stitching. I don't like the color of his stitching on his patch or whatever. And I just thought, like, man, I don't have the mind to think about all that stuff. I like to just think about my character. I honestly do. And I like to, when there's time off during the day, I like to just sit there and just kind of like be in the imagination of my character. Like, that's what I find to be the most rewarding and stimulating and fun. And so that's really, I have written some things, and there's a couple things that are out there that but mostly I just wrote things that would be a vehicle for me, you know what I mean? Except one TV show that I just wrote, but no, I just want to be an actor. I just want to be the best actor I could be. Maybe I'd like to produce things to help get things made, because I feel like maybe from my football days, I know what it's like to be on a team, and from teaching to acting and class, I know how it is to like organize and motivate a bunch of different personalities. But no, I just want to, I'm trying to be the best actor I can possibly be, and I have my hands full with that. You know what I mean? I feel like since I started acting late, I maybe just got my 10,000 hours, in the last couple of years. So I really have felt, just a lot different, to be able to make, do different voices for the characters and different mannerisms, much more than I used to be able to do. So I just love acting.
How do you feel about stage acting?
Oh, I would love, I've auditioned for a couple of Broadway plays. I don't know that I want to go back and work my way up, because sometimes they're a little bit like, oh, you're an LA actor. You know what I mean? But I'm really not considered that, I don't think. But I guess I just have to get my acting star, up to where they'll want me on Broadway, because I definitely want to do Broadway play.
Yeah, I mean, that is just a totally different feeling, because that live audience there, you kind of feed off of the energy and everything, and just really knowing your lines. It's not like you get a second take. That happens. So
you know what, though? I like to say my lines perfectly. I always have liked to do that. Sure, I'll improv if it. Did you know Matthew's picture went away?
Yeah, he's going to be back.
Okay.
He probably had to deal with his puppy.
Oh, I wish I could have just put up a picture of me while I did it. But what were you saying? I'm sorry.
With the energy of being on stage in front of a live audience.
Yeah. Because when you're acting, on a set, you can do it, over and over and this and that. But I like to know my lines perfectly. And for The Stand, I hired some line readers, and I knew all my lines completely for every episode before it even started shooting. Because when I did Draft Day, I saw Kevin Costner. He had this notebook, and you could just tell he knew it already before he started shooting it. And that's so much better, because then, as far as me, for Tom, I would go into my trailer. I always end up shooting, I'd have to be there at 10 at night, and I'd start shooting at 1 in the morning, always. Wow. And so I would listen to these sleep meditation tapes. So you lay down, it really puts you into a sleep dream state. And then they would knock on my trailer and say, it's time to go work. And so I felt like that was a really good kind of vacant place to start with Tom, And so I would never even look at my lines, because I knew them from before. So it was never about the lines, because they were already in me somewhere. It was just about, the behavior and the relationships. That was a really fun way to work too.
And I love the approach that you've taken with Tom here. And I'm sorry, Meredith, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, by knowing those lines, it really allows you to pay attention to what everybody else is doing. And kind of
because you're not trying to remember that line, you know what I mean? You're just there. And Henry was so good, and Whoopi was so good, and all the actors I worked with were so good that I would just go hit the ball back and forth. Do you know what I'm saying? I was Tom, and I was there.
Until you just said that, I totally forgot that Whoopi is Mother Abigail. And that I can totally picture her encompassing Mother Abigail. Who is the walking dude? The walking man, the dark man,
that's Sarsgaard. The dark man is Sarsgaard. Yeah.
Oh hell, folks! If y'all don't know who that is, that's Pennywise. That is Pennywise, and he also played in Castle Rock, which, right? Am I right, Brad?
I'm not sure. I know he played in Big Little Lies.
Yeah,
I mean, he can do anything. He's just a great actor, and that's why they ended up making that part of the show just a little bit heavier, just because he's so good.
If I'm not mistaken, he played Pennywise in Stephen King's It, and
maybe you guys can look it up. I can't do it while I'm
Meredith,
on the computer. I'm a Luddite.
Look it up. She's my producer. She's supposed to be telling me, yes, Matthew, you're right, or shut up.
Well, Matthew, we are after an hour right now, so we do have one final question. Yes. Brad, I normally screw it up all the time, so I give it back to Matthew to ask.
And this is something, folks, that I am over the Christmas break. I am going to put this all together for the entire year. Every guest that we have had, we have asked this question, Brad.
Oh, no.
And you're going to be one of the last. I think I'm working on a couple more to end the year. But if Brad could go back in time and give his younger self a one piece of advice, what would it be?
Don't worry so much.
There you go. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Because when you get older and you stop worrying about, like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm going to go do this audition. You know what? If they want me, they'll call me. If they don't, they won't. You know what I mean? And all I can do is go there and do the best I possibly can. I feel like when you worry, it takes away from your confidence. And in football, in life, in acting, if you're trying not to fuck up, you fuck up. If you're trying to be amazing, well, you might not be amazing, but you'll be pretty good. You know what I mean? But you can't do anything if you're trying not to fail. I can't. That's just not how some people are motivated by that. I'm not. Although I was motivated by the fact that, you know, Tom was such a complicated character that I could be terrible or good at it. You know what I mean? But that was like, I'm going to try to be great though. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like I'm going to worry about what the last person did or worry about this or that. You know, I'm just going to go do my thing, like my painting, like here's my painting and I hope you like it, you know?
I absolutely effing love that you read the script first. That's how you became familiar with the character. Then you checked out the book itself as far as Tom. I never did catch if you ever did watch the original miniseries.
No, I could watch it now though. I just didn't want to watch it and be influenced by it. Do you know what I mean? But the book is cool. Like, okay, like, hey, I'm heading out on my voyage. They say, what kind of toys what do you want in your basket? Well, I want this car set and this gas station thing that Tom had. Do you know what I mean? That's what the book was really great for. And people who read the book will go, oh shit, he has that, you know, gas station game or whatever he had. Yeah, I tried to make it.
And I love that though, that you're bringing a fresh view to the character. You're not trying to recreate what the previous miniseries did with this character. You're bringing your own approach to the whole thing. And folks, again, The Stand premieres on the 17th on CBS All Access. It's going to drop one a week, so you're going to have to you can't binge watch it yet. And if you're like me, you're a huge Stephen King fan and The Stand fan, this is the time to go ahead and get your subscription and get it fired up.
Yes. It'll be worth it. Like I usually don't like do a bunch of interviews, this or that. Like this is a really good show. I believe in it. And I think I hope people like my character. Let me show you one thing though, just so everyone knows this is a good dog. Look, she's asleep.
Aww.
What's her name?
Ruby.
See, Ruby wanted some loving earlier, and she needed some attention earlier, but now she's satisfied. She's chilling in the crate and just waiting for Daddy to get done with this interview. Brad.
Oh no, when I'm done, she's gonna be sleeping. Like we just did at the wrong time.
There you go. Nita is tuning in. She says Alexander Skarsgård is this Stand. Bill is Pennywise.
Oh, there you go.
So it's his brother.
Alexander is Big Little Lies.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I
didn't know. He was
great. They all can act, but he's a very special actor.
Well, Brad, don't go anywhere. We want to say goodbye off air and off camera, but is there anywhere, are you on social media? Is there places folks can follow you and all that good stuff?
I'm on Instagram, but I don't post that much when I got nothing going on because I don't think anyone really cares what I'm eating for lunch or anything. Starting, you said it's the 17th. Starting that day, I'm going to start just putting pictures up of when we were shooting. And what I like to do, I did this with Orange, is like when I start with the third episode, like I'll put a picture up of a scene and I'll kind of talk about like, you know, how I prepared for it or what happened that day and this and that. And people seem to like that. So yeah. So when the show starts, I'll start posting it. And that's Instagram is at Brad William Henke.
Well, you know, and I noticed on your Instagram account that you do a lot of workouts, martial arts.
I do jiu-jitsu. I'm not that great at it, but I like to do it.
What belt are you up to?
Huh?
What belt are you up to?
Oh, I'm still on the first belt because what happens is we got to start doing it when I did Fury. David Ayer made us box each other and stuff, and I started to really like it. But I travel so much that I'm never at the same place. And then I was just starting at a great place here, and then the pandemic. I'm really close to getting the blue belt.
And folks, we don't have to cut it off here because we are at the hour mark. If you want to shut it down, we can shut it down. Brad needs to go here in a few. But Brad, with you being into jiu-jitsu then, and you being an ex-football player, I have to know, are you a UFC fan?
I'm a huge UFC fan. UFC fan.
I was a UFC fan from the beginning, back before there were rules, when that shit would get boring as hell.
You know what I just did 2 weeks ago when I ran out of Netflix? I watched UFC 1 through 5. They had it on ESPN Plus. You know, like the one boxer glove.
Oh my God.
All that stuff. Yeah.
My brother and I used to hit the video store and look for the next number. And then you'd be sitting there and you'd be so thankful it was on VHS so you could fast forward, because the only rules were no eye gouging and no fish hooking. So there was no stand-up.
They would headbutt like crazy. And then they would have like some guy, like big guy like me, as old as me, like, why is he fighting? Do you know what I mean? Like, they just kind of hammer people. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. I watched the fight this weekend. I was sad to see what happened to Tony Ferguson, just because he never got to fight Khabib and stuff. But yeah, I'm a big fan. I can't wait to see the Conor McGregor Justin Poirier fight.
Yes, that's gonna be
and then are they going to have to fight Gaethje? Like, who's going to fight Gaethje? Like, how's this going to go? But the guy who beat Ferguson looks amazing.
Yeah, he does. And you know, when you have someone new come out like that is just like,
but he's not new. He has the most submissions in that weight class. So he's just coming of age. Like, I think I'm coming of age as an actor. He's coming of age a little bit later.
Well, you know, and that's like they say, you know, musicians, they found stardom overnight, and they've been, you know, playing for 20 freaking years.
Oh yeah, I'm a 25-year overnight sensation. Like when Orange came on, people are like, "Did you do any acting before Orange?" I was like,
well,
but hey guys, I'm only on 3%. I either have to get a power cord or we got to wrap it up.
We're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
Brad, don't go anywhere. We just want to say goodbye off the air.
Okay.
Folks, again, tune in to CBS All Access for The Stand. It's 9 episodes over 9 weeks. If you love The Stand, if you love Stephen King,
I think you're going to love it.
Yep. And we had Brad here, who is Tom Cullen. MOON spells Brad. And so
MOON spells Geek Insider.
On that note, guys, thank you guys. Have a great night, and thank you for tuning in.
Thanks. All right, bye-bye.
At Geek Insider, we foster relationships with those in the geek sphere so we can give our audience the insider view of entertainment, tech, and more.